There's a couple of things I want people to be aware of when signing up or thinking about going to chiropractic school. There are a number of colleges around the US. There's a number of colleges around other parts of the world. I know there's at least three in the British Isles where I'm from, but I'm over in the US because I'm married over here. And so I'm attending a college, and I thought, it would be really good to do a video of things that I wish I knew before I started chiropractic college. And a lot of us who become chiropractors don't do it necessarily for a career. It's because it's more of a calling for us, right? You kind of not you don't fit into the standard medical community when you become a chiropractor. Not to say you can't, but a lot of people choose chiropractic because of different motivations, right? It can be a great career for people if you're just looking for a job, but I find that you need to be very determined to learn that if that's the case. But a sense of calling behind the purpose of becoming a chiropractor tends to keep you in the program when things get hard, right? Chiropractic schools, from my experience, are kind of built in a bell curve. They start you off, and this could be the same for medical school. I don't have any experience with that. They start you off learning the basics, and then if you're in a semester or quarter system, depends on when, but for me it was like fourth quarter it starts to ramp up, and then sixth quarter goes higher, then seventh quarter, and then when you get to ninth you kind of start mastering things, and you get into the student clinics and the outpatient clinics, and that's when things start to change and you start to really get your stuff together. If you go in to every subject and you want to know it off by heart, the programs sometimes are not built that way. I actually spoke to a lecturer about this, and he said that it is more in line with you need to know the core of it because it will get reinforced and you'll have repetition over time. And so you may not know everything about bacteriology, but when you hit pathology, it'll reinforce some of the things about bacteriology that you learned, okay? And bring some of that stuff back, and then build the pathways in the brain to get that memory going. Cost of chiropractic schools can range anything from, I think, if you went straight through the program, maybe you're a 20-year-old and you come straight through the educational system and you come into chiropractic college, you could get through pretty fast because you don't have a lot of things pulling at you in the outside life, and so you can spend all your evenings studying. If that's the case, then you could probably get through with about 150 to 200K. If you modify like me, depends on how long you modify it. I have family, so and life situations start happening when you're older, and so some of those things tend to pull away from the college experience, and so you have to deal with other things in your life. You're not able to study as much, so you might start spacing things out. When you start to modify, things start spacing out a lot, and it just depends how much you modify. Some people could get through with 250, and I think the max would be probably 500. Now that may scare the living daylights out of some people, but I know people out there who are able to pay off those kind of loans in 5 to 10 years of working as a chiropractor business owner, not an associate, somebody who works for somebody else, but a business owner. So keep those in mind. I know people are making 45, grossing 45K in their clinics. You obviously got to take expenses out of that a month, and as a conservative, I know people are making more than that. It's just you making sure that you can handle that kind of seeing those figures in a bank account or a loan payment, and being able to handle that. Another thing I wish I'd known beforehand is if I was considering chiropractic college, if you're considering it right now, I would strongly suggest getting a book called Netter's Anatomy. I already knew from some sports background the anatomy, basic anatomy stuff, right? And I'd studied PE, and that includes some anatomy classes. But I would strongly consider taking a book called Netter's Anatomy, investing in it, or at least the flashcards, and start memorizing the bones of the body, the intricacies of the bones, like where tendons and muscles attach. If you did bones of the body and started memorizing then the muscles of the body and the tendons and where they attach on the bones, insertion and origin, those kind of things, you start memorizing that kind of stuff, and you'll be one up on everybody else when you get in, and that will make those first quarters a little bit easier, and and the following chords too. The other thing, everything's based around Latin with anatomy. So if you have no background in like Spanish as a second language or primary language, then it's really going to kick you in the booty. So I would strongly suggest taking a course like Rosetta Stone in Latin if you have no background in Spanish whatsoever before you come in here. It will last you the life of the program, because when you, even from like the anatomy side of things to understanding what those words mean, all the way through to the pathologies, they're all built around the Latin-based words, okay? And that will help you when you get stuck on a question. If you know your Latin, there's a lot of questions I got stuck on because I didn't know my Latin. So definitely get that in your brain and figure that out. And the final thought is, one of my experiences I didn't know when I first looked into colleges is that each college, like for example the ones in America are like Palmer, National, and Life, and Sherman, all these colleges teach different packages of techniques. So talk to your chiropractor, the guy who's probably inspired you to get involved with this, and ask him what kind of techniques he learned. So Palmer teaches a certain set of techniques. I didn't know this beforehand. And Life teaches a certain set of techniques around like full spine. They all kind of call it diversified because they fit things in. But there's something, certain techniques might gel with you, and certain techniques you might want to stay away from, just professionally. And that's, I think, my final thought was the technique side. But I add this in. If you're a 20-year-old, you're going to love the clubs at colleges. But if you're a 45-year-old and you've got family, you're not going to be able to make those clubs as much. But there's certain clubs to watch out for that are kind of like fringe, and there's certain clubs that are going to teach you techniques. And I would stick to the ones that are going to teach you techniques that are going to help people and gel with your spirit and the way you think it should go. I feel like there's some left side, and I don't mean politically. I mean like there's some things that verge on the side of weird in chiropractic, but there's also some very medically targeted techniques, and I tend to stick to those ones. I like AK. It kind of merges a little bit of Chinese medicine side of things, which I understand a little bit better than I used to, as far as techniques are concerned. So anyway, that's my thoughts. So I talked about cost. Learn Latin. Take a year before you sign up. Do Latin. Get a book called Netta's Anatomy. Start memorizing those things. It'll help you out. And look at the different colleges and the kind of techniques they teach. And don't ask a student about the technique packages. Ask like an intake professional who'll have some idea about that kind of stuff. And then consider the cost. And if you get stressed out about money, this may not be the journey you want to take. But if I'm involved in a management company that gives me confidence that I know that I'm going to get through this once I get through and finish the college all the way. So I'm about a year out from finishing, and I know people are earning really well, but I know other students that got completely stressed out and quit the program because they kept on seeing the loan amount go up and they couldn't handle it. They couldn't get the whole perspective of how much it's going to cost. So I'm not a fan of the fees and how much they cost, but it's part of the parcel. You got to take that journey to get there. It does make you a little bit committed and determined to do well. I would strongly suggest on the back end that get in one of the management programs, one that's not going to rip you off, but it's going to teach you the principles and program of how to run a business once you've learned all the chiropractic stuff. You'll severely reduce your income if you become an associate. So I'd strongly suggest looking into it as a business and becoming a business owner. That being said, that's about it for me. Comments below. Please subscribe to my channel. I do random stuff. I'm a beekeeper as well, so I do random stuff on this channel. But hopefully this will help you out. All the best on your journey.